Do you struggle to highlight the true value of your offer or feel like your content isn't converting your offers as easily as you'd like? Transformations, or possibilities, as I like to call them, are the lifeblood of creating content that compels someone to purchase your offer. Yet, they are the one thing my clients and members struggle with the most. In today's episode, I'll be covering the 5 essential steps that you need to complete to be able to successfully communicate the transformation your offer provides. You'll learn how to shift your focus from features to outcomes, tap into the emotional benefits your audience craves, and avoid common mistakes that can dilute your message. If you're feeling challenged by really knowing your ideal client, or you're unsure whether you have the right offer, make sure you join me at Jessica Osborn, marketing strategist and business coach's upcoming live masterclass, The Magnetic Formula. In the meantime, this episode will give you practical insights and actionable strategies to make your content more impactful and motivate your client into action. No matter where you are in your business journey, mastering these steps will really help you connect more deeply with your audience, build trust, and ultimately drive more sales. So if you're ready to transform your content and see real results, this episode is for you. Welcome to the Powerful Content Podcast, your go-to source for content creation, strategy, and business inspiration. I'm your host, Mel Daniels, content strategist, coach, and speaker, empowering women across the globe to grow their business with powerful content that connects, nurtures, and converts. So if you're ready to create standout content that gets you noticed and remembered, or build an aligned audience who love you and are ready to buy from you, you're in the right place. I believe that content has the power to connect us all. It's up to you how you use it. Listen in for genuine and insightful chats with guests, as well as practical tools and strategies from me. It's so lovely to have you here. Let's dive into the show. I acknowledge the Wongal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the country that I am recording from today. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and waters. I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all First Nation people listening today. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 126 of the Powerful Content Podcast. I appreciate you being here today, and by the end of this episode, I think you'll be happy that you chose to listen into this episode today. Now, transformations, or possibilities, as I like to call them, are really the soul of creating content that encourages someone to purchase your thing. And yet I find they are the one thing that all of my clients and all of my members struggle with the most. Now, there's a few reasons I believe for this, but at its core is what you end up doing is focusing on features rather than outcomes. And you probably just haven't been taught how to do it. So today I'm going to take you through the 5 steps that I take my members and clients through, and that I do for myself for every new offer or free thing that I create, so that you can make sure that your content is encouraging people in the right way to want your thing. Now, before you start this process, there are 2 things that you need to be super clear on. The first is your ideal client. That's a no-brainer, right? You're talking directly to your ideal client here, and you really need to get inside their head, so you need to know who they are. This exercise will only help your content be more impactful and relatable if you're able to connect in with who you're speaking to. And like I said in the intro, if this is something that you're not confident with, then head on down to the show notes to join Jessica Osborn's Magnetic Formula Masterclass live. The second thing is that this exercise isn't just for social media posts to sell your paid offer. You can use the words that you come up with in these steps for your lead magnet, for promotion of your free content, your blogs, podcasts, videos, your nurture content. You can use them in emails, and if you create masterclasses or webinars as well. And the places that you can use them are absolutely endless. So you can use the copy in your emails, like I said, sales pages, calls to action within bigger pieces of content, and social media as well. So now you know where and when you can use this transformation copy. Let's talk about the mistakes I see people make. I've taken countless big-hearted entrepreneurs through this process, and there's a number of mistakes that I see them make. Actually, there's 4. The first one is focusing in on features. So listing your features of your offer rather than your benefits or your outcomes. So for my membership, the content effect, I might say there's over 100 lessons, templates, and workbooks that help you work through the content or group calls every month. Now, that really focuses on the features of the lessons, the templates, and the workbooks. If you shift your focus from what your product or service has to what it enables your client to achieve, so for example, instead of saying, my membership includes monthly coaching calls, I could say, you can attend monthly coaching calls that provide personalized content strategies to accelerate your growth. A little bit different, right? The second mistake is not using emotions and feelings. So this kind of carries on from this. So this kind of carries on from the previous point. When you focus on features, you talk about things. When you talk about how someone will feel, you tap into their emotional state. It creates empathy in their current state. So your ideal client is more likely to sit up and take notice because it's what they're currently experiencing. So instead of saying over 50 videos are available to help you create content, I'm going to say you'll no longer feel paralyzed about what to post, but instead you'll feel empowered and inspired to take action every day. Once again, there's a bit of a difference. And as a side note here, if your ideal client is in a current state of overwhelm or confusion, telling them that there's a lot of resources for them to access isn't going to help anyway. It's likely to send them into overwhelm. And as a result, they are less likely to take action and download or buy your thing. Now, the third mistake is around being a little bit vague. So sometimes when we're tapping into emotions, it's really easy for you to use broad, sweeping, catch-all descriptions. So the more specific that you can be for their challenges and desires, the more they feel seen and heard. And the more specific that we can be for the possibilities that we create, the more excited they'll be about working with you. For example, something that my membership gives you is confidence. So instead of saying you'll feel more confident, I could say you'll confidently create a month's worth of content in just one day, knowing it will resonate with your audience. Now, the last mistake is making false promises or overpromising. And to be honest, this is not something that I often see with my clients and members because they are typically big-hearted entrepreneurs and don't go down this road anyway. They are more likely to underpromise. But it's something that I do see time and time again in my social feed, making what I would call unrealistic claims about the transformations you'll receive when you purchase a thing. So really make sure here that you lean into your big-heartedness, but also know that you could actually amp it up a little. Yes, it can be good in some circumstances to underpromise and overdeliver, but I don't want you to undersell yourself. So for example, instead of saying you'll triple your income in a month, I might say you'll see a noticeable improvement in your engagement and sales as you consistently apply these strategies. Okay, so now you know some of the potential mistakes to avoid. You can go into this exercise with far more confidence. There's 5 steps that I take my members and clients through when coming up with a bank of transformative statements that can be used throughout their content. Now, the very first step is to call out your ideal client's challenge, or think about answering the question, this is for you if. Now, I want to be very clear here that I use the term challenge and not pain point. Oh my goodness, that's so bad. Unless you're in a medical field, your ideal client is likely not going to be in pain. A pain point is something that you're told to poke and prod with your content, and I really don't like it because I don't know about you, but I'd much rather someone work with me because they're excited about the possibilities in their life that I create, not because they are desperate and think that they need fixing. Different energy, different vibe. So what you're going to do in this step is put yourself in their shoes and think about what your ideal client is worrying about when it comes to your area of expertise. And when you can do this step successfully, you'll help your ideal client self-identify. It'll also bring their challenge to the forefront of their mind and help them see that you're empathizing with their situation. So for example, with this podcast, I might say, this episode is for you if you're struggling to connect with your audience, feel like your content isn't converting, or you're unsure how to highlight the value of your offer. The second step, once you've identified their challenges, is to understand the desires. And you can answer the question, imagine if you could. So this is connecting with what your ideal client would like their life to look like. Usually, this is a vast improvement or even the opposite to what their challenge may be. Now, I love this step because desires are a key motivator for action. Think about what you've taken action on, and it's likely to be associated with something that you really wanted. When your content speaks directly to what your audience truly wants, what they desire, it can inspire them to take action. So, as an example, I might use imagine if you could create content that not only engages your audience, but also consistently converts them into paying clients. Or I might say, imagine having a clear strategic plan that showcases the true value of your offer. Both of these statements show that I understand what you'd like content creation and strategy to be like and do for you. And they are more likely to make you go, oh, yes, that's what I want. What do I need to do to get it? And then hopefully you'll take action. The third step is to figure out what your ideal client needs to know before they're ready to buy. Now, what I love to do next in this step is like a mini content mining brainstorm activity. Understanding what they need to know before they're ready to buy will help you to create free content that moves them towards purchasing. Now, the reason that I want you to do this is sometimes the leap between where your ideal client is now and what you can give them is too big. They can't imagine it. So we need to help them get to a point where they think it is possible and therefore are ready to buy. And this exercise really helps educate your ideal client and then builds trust and authority with them. So to do this, you might look at frequently asked questions. You might look at objections. You might look at previous ideal client research that you've done, or just simply ask your audience. So for example, before joining my membership, you'll need to know that before your audience is ready to buy, they need to understand the unique benefits of your offer, see proof of its effectiveness, and feel confident that it addresses their specific needs. This is where doing the work on transformations come in, hence my podcast episode today. So this is really showing you that it is possible to create content that converts. You just need to know how to communicate it. Now, the fourth step is the juicy step. This is where we articulate the transformations. So you can finish this statement. After working with me, you will. And this is often the most difficult part of this exercise, as you need to ditch your imposter syndrome, leave it at the door, and be confident about the possibilities you create in your ideal client's life. Focus on the emotional benefits, such as increased confidence, reduced stress, or feeling more empowered and motivated. What can they be, do, and have as a result of working with you? Now, a great way to get started here is to gather some testimonials so that you can see firsthand the transformation that you provide for your clients from their perspective. And in this step, I continually challenge my members and clients with a very loving, so what? This really helps you get deeper into the possibilities rather than just surface level. So if I said, after working with me, you'll feel confident in your content strategy, I'd say, so what? So what if you feel confident in your content strategy? What does that actually mean? So instead, I might use, after working with me, you will feel confident in your content strategy, create purposeful content with ease, and see an increase in sales as a result. Now, the last step, step number 5, takes this exercise to an extra level. And if you can articulate actual examples of what your ideal client is doing before and after working with you, then this really strengthens the storytelling aspect of transformations. So there's 2 ways that you can approach this step. One is from a very factual perspective, and one is from more of a storytelling perspective. Now, if you don't have real life examples and facts and success stories to illustrate the transformations, then that's fine. Use storytelling. Both options allow your ideal client to really identify themselves in a situation. So a fact example might be, before working with me, my client Jane was overwhelmed with content creation and saw little engagement. After implementing the strategies inside the content effect, she's now consistently creating content that resonates with her audience and has seen a 50% increase in her email list growth. So very fact-based. And a story example might be, there's nothing worse than a late night panic scroll looking for something remotely interesting to post on Instagram from your photo reel. This will become a thing of the past once you're a member of the content effect, as you'll be more organized, proactive, and purposeful with the content that you create and share so that you can call in more ideal clients that you love working with. I kind of really love the story examples because it can help an ideal client really see themselves in what you're talking about. So I'm sure that you've experienced this as you're scrolling through social media and you read a post and you think to yourself, oh my goodness, how does this person know this about me? So it's tapping into those stories that can be a lot of fun. And from a practical perspective, when you're using your possibilities in your content, I love to have a bank of stories available and ready to use. They might be specific client transformations or simply tap into what your ideal client is doing before and after working with you. The more relatable, the better. And I would use them across different types of content, not just social media. Think about using them in your core content, your blogs, podcasts, videos, as well as emails, and of course, your sales pages as well. Now, remember to stay grounded with this exercise, with these 5 steps. This is not about false claims, but rather authenticity to build trust with your ideal client. I always have my transformation spreadsheet open, and I will go back to it every time I'm writing a new piece of copy. I also regularly add to it as I'm given new feedback from people or read social media posts about my ideal clients' challenges and desires. Now, like I said at the start of this episode, all of this will work only if you have clarity on who your ideal client is and you have an offer that they want. And if you're unsure if your offer is one that sits clearly within your zone of genius and solves a problem for your ideal client, then don't forget my good friend Jessica Osborn has a masterclass coming up that will help you craft that winning offer and show you how to create a framework to keep attracting and converting your ideal clients. Come along and join Jessica. I'll be there as well because I'm always learning something new from Jessica. The link is in the show notes to join us on Wednesday, the 14th of August, 2024. So in summary, by using transformations in your content, you'll be able to showcase what your ideal client can be, do, and have as a result of working with you. By following the steps of understanding their challenges, their desires, knowing the knowledge gap, and what they're doing before and after working with you, you'll be able to effectively sell your offer without having to resort to gross, persuasive selling techniques that just feel icky. And if you want to know more about understanding your ideal client, crafting a winning offer, and translating that to more sales in the door, make sure you go and register for Jessica's masterclass now. That link is in the show notes. Talk soon. Thanks so much for listening. That's it for another week. To get more powerful content in your life, make sure you're following along on socials. My handle is @meldbusiness. And just in case you're wondering, the groovy music for this podcast was created by Just Here on SoundCloud. I'd also be super grateful if you took a moment to rate and review this podcast so more amazing women like you can experience the power of content. And if you're like, hell Mel, stop talking, I'm ready to work with you now, here's how we can work some powerful content magic together. Firstly, come and join the Content Effect, my membership inspiring women with service-based businesses to ditch the content chaos and start creating stand-out content that gets you noticed and makes sales. You can join us by using the link in the show notes or just Google the Content Effect. The second way we can work together is via my one-on-one packages. We can create a sustainable content strategy or start to build out your client journey. It's up to you. Hop on over to meldbusinessservices.com.au/services to find out more. Until next time, have a beautiful week and embrace the power of your content.